Play.
Hello there. Welcome to WTA Weekly on Talking Tennis. It is Wimbledon Eve, and I'm joined by the very esteemed on the line host, Jack Edward, fresh from his excellent sequel podcast with Gavin. Is it Gavin Halver? Is his surname?
McMillan.
Gavin McMillan.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got that one from. Maybe it's a politician. Gavin McMillan, the biomechanics coach, which if you haven't checked it out, you really should, because he previewed the men's and the women's contenders rather than the draw, like just broke down their games really, really well. So I'm going to get that plug out the way just because I was that excited about it. But yeah, how are you doing, Jack?
Good. Yeah, I actually thought you were going to plug my radio appearance instead of the episode. I don't know if you got to hear that. I'm still buzzing off that, Nick, basically. I just got to say a couple of words about how Andy's going to beat Tsitsipas and then I left, basically. But it was great. Really enjoyed it.
Look, yes, Jack is very much in demand. So it's very kind of him to take time out of his busy schedule from talking to the BBC, from where he will soon be hired as an analyst.
Well, one step at a time, Nick. It's going well, though. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Fantastic. So obviously, we all know why we're here. We're here to talk about the Wimbledon draw as it gets underway on Monday. We already know the order of play for Monday. So we've already been a little bit of chatter about that because online I've had already about it, given that if you wanted to have the best matches on centre court, you would have picked two women's matches and the Djokovic match rather than Djokovic, Venus Williams, and Jannik Sinner, just because there are probably more interesting options from the women's round ones. But that's my opinion. I don't know if that's something you would think, Jack.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just buzzing in general, Nick. Another major. Any match is a good match for me. I'll be there, of course. So, I'm not picky about what I see. I'm just like, let's see some tennis. I don't care. It's going to be good.
I am definitely going to, so I'm going on Monday and Tuesday. I am planning on queuing for Court 1 tickets on Monday, partly because it's an opportunity to see Iga Swiatek play live, yes, and partly because I am very excited by any drama that could come from Coco Gauff versus Sophia Kenin in round one. It's going to be the closing match.
Interesting. Yeah, that could be good. I don't even know what that is. What's the drama between them?
Sorry?
What's the drama between them?
Oh, the drama would be, can Kenin cause an upset?
Oh, right. Okay. Not like there's been any fire or aggro there. No. It was like, okay. Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. No. If there was aggro, I would mention it, but no.
There's no way Gauff has got aggro with anybody as well. She's like the nicest person on tour. So.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, I would be very surprised. Like something dramatic would have had to have happened for her to have beef with someone.
Yeah. Right, where do we start in here, Nick? What, are we breaking down your power rankings? Are we?
Well, I mean, we can do that. I mean, I know a lot of people. Well, John has been very keen to pick them apart.
I'm keen to pick them apart as well, Nick.
You want to pick them apart? Okay. I knew this was going to cause some arguments. So, okay. I obviously I made a half-hour video justifying the power rankings. Obviously, threw a lot of honourable mentions in there as well, because I ended up with a list of 21 players to try and whittle into a top 10. Mm-hmm. This is the top 10 I came up with. I'm going to be honest, I'm not super happy with it either, but it's the best I could do.
Well, if you had to make any big changes, Nick, what would your big changes be?
So I want to put Garcia in the top 10.
Okay.
But I don't know who I'd take out. Probably either Krejcikova or Vekic.
Okay.
Yeah. But I basically went. The only reason why Garcia didn't make it in was because I just went, it's Caroline Garcia in 2023, and I didn't want to put too much stock in her.
Yeah. Despite
the fact she made quarters in Berlin and Eastbourne, which I think is really, really good grass results.
Yeah.
But Krejcikova having a better than expected start that she said it was in Birmingham, and Donna Vekic making the Berlin final very spectacularly.
Mm-hmm.
it's just difficult to ignore, really. So, but I mean, to be honest, I think if I'm going to look at who is actually going to win Wimbledon, it's probably going to be someone in the top 5.
Yeah. Well, maybe. First things first, actually, Nick, can you just... I know this is it's a weekly roundup in a way. I've actually been off the grid a little bit. What's happened this week in terms of finals? I know we've got like Bronzetti in one, and I know Swiatek had to withdraw, right? But what else actually happened? And then we can talk power rankings if they're relevant.
Yeah, of course. Well, actually, the Eastbourne final is currently happening. Keys has taken the first set 6-2, and they are 7-all and are deciding in a second set tiebreak.
Yeah, he who does not pay attention to Madison Keys at Wimbledon is a fool for sure. Because I mean, in that sort of Kvitova style, I suppose Kvitova's probably got a way better chance, I would say, and that's a name I think is missing from those power rankings, by the way. But we'll get on to that. Keys could just knock people off the court on her best days. I just haven't seen it from her for a while. I don't think the winning
that's why she's not there, is because Eastbourne's the best we've seen from her for a very, very long time. As Keys now looks like she's got match point. I don't have it on the television. I cannot commentate. But look, this would be Keys' second Eastbourne title, having won it in 2014. Eastbourne's interesting because there were a lot of withdrawals from big names, Rybakina being one, Krejcikova, I think, pulled out, Kvitova pulled out. We had Garcia and Ostapenko retiring in the quarterfinals. Eastbourne's an interesting one because I think it is the best Wimbledon warm-up for a lot of players, but you don't want to go too deep there. So in many ways, the winner doesn't matter. I mean, the last time the winner of Eastbourne went on to win Wimbledon was 1998, Jana Novotná. And she's only one of 3 women who've ever done it, the other 2 being Evert and Navratilova, doing Eastbourne Wimbledon double. So if you look back, you realize, looking back, a lot of people who aren't like established grass court greats like the Williams sisters and Steffi Graf, they never played Wimbledon warm-ups, really. But Wimbledon warm-ups are great for those outsiders to come in, and Eastbourne's traditionally been the most accurate one to look at, and it's generally been sort of quarterfinals, semi-finals. If you play in the final, it's generally a bit of a tight turnaround for whoever wins it. So I've been watching it for, who's getting grass court wins, but past the quarterfinals, it's not been at that point you kind of go, well, how relevant is it going to be? Like, I would say at the minute, the big stories from Eastbourne would be Caroline Garcia making the quarters. That was a good result. Ostapenko making quarters. I thought she'd pull out much sooner, but she clearly wanted that momentum from Birmingham. Coco Gauff getting to the semi-finals. That was a good result for her, beating Jessica Pegula, getting some grass court wins under her belt and showing that I think Coco Gauff on grass is interesting because a lot of people say her game shouldn't work on grass, and yet she seems very comfortable on it.
I think she's a good enough player to make it work because she just moves so well, and she'll take anybody apart who's not going to hit her off the court. But as soon as you get a power player on grass, they're generally the ones that are going to dictate play, regardless of how good a defender you are. And Gauff isn't at the stage in her career where we could consider her a power player, I would say. Her serve isn't quite good enough. Her forehand, obviously, is the main one, and that's going to be anybody's big weapon. I just don't think if she comes against a big player at Wimbledon, I think she gets beaten. I'd have to take a look at her draw. She might still make it to the quarters, but beyond that, just I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, one of the draw points that I think we could probably get to later, but I no, let's talk about it now because we can break down the draw a little bit. But obviously, if they both get to the quarterfinals, Gauff and Swiatek are due to play each other in the quarters. That's where their draw is. And I've been looking at going, if they did meet, who wins? Because Gauff should be the better grass court player, or he's the more confident grass court player. But we know what that Iga can do in that matchup and is maybe developing a little bit. So I think this is Gauff's best opportunity to get her first win in that rivalry if they did meet.
don't think Gauff is that great on grass. Honestly, with the weapon she's got, I just don't see her overpowering Iga. I think it comes down to a battle of second serves, right? Because both first serves, not particularly attackable, and then the rally will start, and neither player maybe will feel totally comfortable on their feet. They might not be able to dictate. I think if both players can dictate off the opponent's second serve, whoever does that better will have a better chance of winning. And in that situation, Iga comes out on top. I think Iga will get into too many of Gauff's service games for Gauff to get the win. That's just how I feel. I'm pretty sure as well. Honestly, Iga is a little underrated on grass. She moves a little badly. Her second serve sits up. I'm sure you saw that in the podcast.
I did, yeah.
Talking about it. However, she can still defend well. You know, she can still attack her opponent's service games over and over and over again. That's her best. You know, that's her bread and butter. So I see Iga maybe semis, but beyond that, I can't see anybody who's going to overpower her in her quarter, basically.
Gauff or Iga? Or both?
Iga. And then you've got Vekic in the semis, potentially. Yeah. That's where I see her maybe getting beaten.
I can see her getting upset in the semis, although, again, that's the point I think we're going to have to come back to.
Because that's a Donna Vekic final there, Nick, I've just backed. So I don't know if that's maybe a little bit.
We'll come back to that, I think. Exactly. I have a different outcome that's probably a little bit more out there. I want to look at just Gauff and go back to the Gauff thing, because I'm looking at who she's beaten, right? And who beat her. So her losses have been to Simona Halep, Angelique Kerber, and Anisimova, of which I would say Anisimova is the only real power player in there. I'm just having a look at who then she's beaten at Wimbledon. So obviously her first run, she beat Venus Williams, who probably wasn't her best, we'll probably admit that. Magdalena Rybakina and Polona Hercog. I don't really remember. I don't think of Hercog as a big hitter. Rybakina is a semi-finalist at Wimbledon, but she's more of a tricksy player, isn't she? Or she was. I don't remember much of her game, to be honest, Rybakina.
Either way, I mean, if we're looking at the most recent results, Kerber and Halep are definitely different style of player. That's fair. There's maybe not enough of a sample size, to be honest. Getting beaten by Anisimova last year was, I suppose, pretty telling. But I'm honestly just reading the style as much as I can, Nick, rather than looking at results. That's just my take on it, because honestly, Gauff could totally prove me wrong. I've not seen enough evidence to know for sure I'm right. That's what I feel will happen.
Yeah, I guess if she's playing a confident power player, it's going to be a problem for her. And that was what Anisimova was feeling confident that day, because then she got to the quarters and she got past Badosa as well, I think.
I mean, confident power players, there's like 3 of them. And that's everybody's 3 favourites for Wimbledon, right? You know, Rybakina, Swiatek, and Sabalenka. I think any of those players and Gauff loses, but she's only in the same half as Swiatek. So honestly, the top half looks a lot more comfortable than the second half.
Yeah. I am definitely getting slight FOMO from this tiebreak, because what on earth is this score?
No idea. I've not got it on in the background. So
no, neither have I. We'll just have to go down history as one that's been missed. But yeah, the Eastbourne crowd are clearly being treated to some drama.
I can get it on in the background. I'm actually going to do it now.
Yeah,
I'll update you and tell you what happens.
Go for it. So while you do that, while we do that, so
it's 13-12 live here with Keys championship point number 4. It's gone to a long rally. Obviously, Krejcikova won't be missing anytime soon. Keys sprays a backhand wide, screams at the audience. This has just turned into Keys Krejcikova commentary now, Nick. I realise we're bouncing about, but
that's fine. But I'm not surprised, because Krejcikova, that's what she's been doing all week. I'm not muted.
You're not muted?
No.
I put myself on mute. Sorry, I'm talking absolute nonsense.
Yeah. Krejcikova has been diffusing all the power that's been thrown at her all week. And again, she's a bit of I think we always talk about grass and power, and that does help. But, players with a lot of variety who can keep the ball low, slicing it.
That's a Krejcikova underrated weapon, to be fair. She's got a lovely slice. That makes a big difference, definitely. But honestly, Nick, her serve sets up. I mean, players that aren't attacking that, come on, like, get with it, man. Like, Krejcikova should not be making the final of Wimbledon anytime soon. I'm sorry, but our games is just not suited enough. So if that happens, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Yeah, I suppose you've got to have the serve to back up the game, don't you? Because that's how Radwanska got there. That's how Jabeur got there.
Yeah. And by the way, championship point number 5, second serve for Keys. It skipped off the top of the net. She's taken a long time because I think it's very windy. That's why stuff is got a little scrappy in the past few points. Taking her time, second serve. Big kicker. Krejcikova gets it back into play. Keys goes big inside out with a forehand. Krejcikova chips it back. They're back in the rally. Keys should be up here, but Krejcikova with an inside out forehand. Neither player getting the advantage here. Oh, Keys only just gets that one back. Back to neutral again. It's going to go on for a while, I think. Oh, big forehand from Keys down the line. Krejcikova defends for her life. Forehand slice as it skips off of the court. Keys with another inside-out forehand.
Still going.
Back to neutral. Krejcikova defending for her life. Keys can't get an advantage. Just going backhands cross now. They've been backhands cross for the last 5 minutes. Big inside-out forehand from Keys. Not enough. Huge forehand cross. She wins it.
Okay, she's finally got it. Madison Keys is a 2-time Eastbourne champion.
Yeah, good finishing shot
there. She's going to be very pleased with that. And, reminds us of how good a grass court player she is.
Absolutely, yeah. She's been off the mat for a little while, not really done anything of huge note. I remember she beat Swiatek last year. That was about the only calling card to her name in 2022. Be interested to see if she's in contention here. Obviously, former Slam finalist.
Yeah.
So
did she make the semis in Australia last year as well? 22.
Was it Keys? Was it Keys?
I think she lost to Barty.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I thought it was Pegula. Might be wrong.
No, Pegula's never made a major semi.
Yeah, maybe it was Keys. Yeah, it's something in my mind.
I remember there being a big fuss about it at the time. But anyway, really hope that she's having a good time there. But yeah, so we've talked about a few kind of players and stories. Bad Homburg, the only real story was Swiatek and how she was going to deal with it was her opening grass court event. We all know what happened there. Like she got to the semis and then pulled out, not feeling well, deciding not to risk Wimbledon preparation and head over here.
Well, she did that for Rome. It worked there for the French. I don't think there's much cause for concern. Again, she obviously showed she can win matches on grass, particularly that match against Tatiana Maria, which I expect a 3-setter, and I did think it was going to be a win. She absolutely blew my own expectations away. Obviously, there was a slow start, but it's the fact she was able to deal with those low bouncing balls. I think part of the game plan against Swiatek is kind of developed. If you don't have the power, you've got to take it out of her strike zone, right? Maria keeps it super low in the court. Swiatek was doing such a good job of adding spin to it anyway. Obviously, we saw Gauff doing the opposite with high balls at the French. But yeah, it was interesting to see her dealing with that super well, and obviously shows that French Open confidence has helped her. She's a confidence player, right? Swiatek's always going to play well if she's played well in the previous tournament, regardless of the surface. So I genuinely think we'll see her go pretty deep at this tournament, even if she doesn't get the win.
I think so too. I think Zhu could be a fun one for her in opening round. She's just been to the semi-finals in Birmingham. But I agree. I don't think Zhu quite has the shot selection to really trouble Iga much. She might get a set if Iga's a little rusty in the first set, similar to what happened with Maria. But
yeah. That's relatively I didn't even think about that. It's a really brutal first round, technically, in terms of ranking. I mean, I think Zhu is like the highest ranked unseeded player. So that's for the number one in the world.
I mean, that's almost like a Steffi Graf, Laurie McNeil, 1994, which is his tennis history. Like Steffi Graf lost in the first round of Wimbledon in 94 to Laurie McNeil, who was like the 17th in the world because at the time.
17th, wow. Yes, at the time, must have won the tournament before, right, or something?
Laurie McNeil, I think she was a doubles champion, possibly. I'd have to look it up. But she, because at the time Wimbledon only had 16 seeds.
Yeah, 16 seeds.
So that's why she was 17th in the world. And known as a bit of a thorn in Graf's side. Like if you look at their head-to-head, okay, no, she's never won a Grand Slam doubles title. She won a mixed doubles title in '88 in French, but that's it, McNeil. But McNeil ends up in the semi-finals as a result that year, and that was the year Conchita Martinez won.
Wow. Fleshing out the whole power ranking thing for Swiatek, by the way, Nick, so you've got Swiatek third at the moment, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think Rybakina as number one, I don't know. The illness thing kind of makes me want to put her lower. A little too many question marks. She got beat on the grass a few weeks ago. She might not be feeling her absolute best. I don't know. Rybakina can be a bit shaky if she's not totally on. So I would probably put her below Iga.
Okay, so it's interesting because like most people have been, when I've got like feedback on the rankings, most people have been questioning Iga's placement, which I get. But yeah, it's interesting that you would say, yeah, I agree that like the WTA big three are the three main favorites, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Without the draw, yeah.
Without the draw, yeah.
Sorry, I actually mean to say with the draw, sorry. I'm the opposite way around. Because I feel like Karolina Muchova at Wimbledon should be more of a threat than at the French. Like her game is built for grass. Slices, transition game, like amazing serve, insane forehands. Like she should be able to do a lot here. And it's just unfortunate she's got a round of 16 with Sabalenka to contend. Because Sabalenka, Nick, is my number one. I think Sabalenka above Rybakina and Swiatek, I think.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Rybakina and Sabalenka really close together. I completely agree with you about Muchova. That's why when I did my first Wimbledon power ranking straight after Roland Garros, I put Muchova at 4.
Okay. Yeah.
I dropped Muchova down because she hasn't played a warm-up.
Fair.
And it wasn't until I looked into it and I realised that in her 2 quarterfinal runs, her grass record that season had been 0-1. I was like, oh, right. She doesn't need a warm-up.
Yeah.
So I guess I kept Muchova low because I was just a little concerned with her recovery. We know that her injury record isn't great. So I may have put her too low in retrospect. I should have probably put her at 6 maybe, but that's what's holding me back. But I completely agree with you. I think Karolina Muchova is a Wimbledon champion potentially in waiting this year. No, but she's got a couple of years to try for it. Yeah. Sabalenka is an interesting one though. Do you want to talk us through why you think Sabalenka over Rybakina, other than the illness for Rybakina?
Yeah, the illness obviously plays a big part, but even if Rybakina is in full flow, she could still be in full flow. Sabalenka ranks higher just because I feel like compared to last year, she's playing way better, right? And she didn't get a chance to compete at Wimbledon. The year before, it was semis for her, and she was not playing anywhere near the level of reliability in her shots as she is this year. Big, massive serve, huge forehand and backhand, first strike ability. Returns obviously exactly the same. She will keep the points short over and over again. She will be one of the few players that is going to be incredibly safe, I feel, for the first 3 rounds of the tournament. You know, you're always shaky on most of the WTA on the first 3 rounds, regardless of the player. Maybe Swiatek, of course, Rybakina as well. Generally, though, you've always got a little bit of doubt. I feel very confident in her. I just feel like with the courts as fast as they are for the first 3 rounds, Sabalenka is going to be in an absolute tear. She was fine at the French when the courts were pretty slow. She'll be even finer at Wimbledon, where the courts are super fast. And obviously, you've heard a lot of this, Nick, but having talked to our biomechanics trainer, Gavin, he's talking about how much spin she's added to not only her serve, but her forehand and a little bit her backhand, but mainly those 2 things. The big weapons that she already had, the ones that tended to fly on her, the double-edged sword, 100% a single-edged sword now. I mean, 90% a single-edged sword for the serve, sorry. But apart from that, we have seen the serve go a couple of times, but not often. And even in that match against Muchova, she didn't play that great a match, but she was like match point to get to the final. right? I just don't feel... I feel like on a faster court, she doesn't have that doubt. She does get through that match in the same situation. The match against Mukova is probably going to be really close, but I still pick Sabalenka, and I don't see anybody beating her up into the final. Maybe Kvitova, but nobody else.
Yeah, well, we've got some... We can probably talk about that then. Did you catch Sabalenka's match against Kudermetova in Berlin?
No.
Okay. I would agree with you. Sabalenka was not on form that day from what I saw. I think John saw some of it as well.
I remember the result. I saw the result, and yeah, that's kind of what I gathered.
But also, I did watch it, and it was a combination of Sabalenka wasn't having a great day. Kudermetova was. She got that forehand firing that day. She was blasting winners past Sabalenka.
Yeah.
And Berlin isn't that dissimilar to Wimbledon in terms of pace, maybe. So I guess that it depends maybe on... Yeah, you're right. Maybe Sabalenka's going to be a bit higher on confidence going into Wimbledon. Maybe she's going to prefer it. But I also think maybe some players on a really, really good day could unseat her. But that's tennis, and that's hard to predict.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
go on.
Go on.
I was just gonna mention one of your other picks as well. So I'm kind of bouncing about now. But I just saw her in the draw there, and I'm glad you've put her in your power rankings, because people are probably going to sleep on Barbara Krejcikova this fortnight, I would imagine. That tends to be what happens to Krejcikova. People don't really, she won a French Open 2 years ago, probably a fluke. Absolutely not. Krejcikova is like the mental player. She is like the most cool, calm, and collected player you could ever get. Break point down, whatever. But on grass as well, I feel like she goes underrated because of her record. I think she's like 7-0 or something on grass. She'll have boosted that, since that final. But generally, she's not got that good a record. She's got a great game for grass. Incredible slice. She's got a great serve, like really good sliding serve. There's maybe a power factor that she loses to some players, but overall, those weapons will make her the favourite against most players on the tour. And I think Sabalenka beats her in the quarters, I would say. So that's still a good run for Krejcikova.
Yeah, I have Krejcikova getting to the quarters as well. I agree with you. And actually, a lot of what she was saying in Birmingham from kind of talking to her was how she seems to be like, she went into Birmingham not expected to win any matches, pretty much. Like she wasn't feeling, and then just like, oh, right, I waited to final without dropping a set. And like watching the matches that I did of hers, which I think I watched. I think I watched her against Martinsova. I saw her against Zhu in the semis, and obviously Ostapenko in the final. And like, apart from the final, like she had a bit of a slow start. It was a bit patchy. She was making a lot of errors, but she just improved as the week went on, and she was able to live with Ostapenko for much of that first set up until the final point, pretty much.
I said that from the very start of the week, Nick. Krejcikova needs to get overpowered in the surface to beat her. I don't think she'll beat herself. I think she's got the weapons to see off most opponents. It's got to be somebody who hits the ball pretty damn hard to beat her. Yeah,
absolutely. I think we'll finish off on the power rankings point, because obviously we've been talking about some other people outside of the big three who could do it. I might want to come back to Rybakina in a minute, actually. But you've mentioned Kvitova a couple of times as a potential alternative champion. She could make the semis. If she's in Rybakina's section, she could take Rybakina out. They definitely possibly meet Rybakina in the quarters. She's got a tough draw, potentially, if she's going to do it and take a third Wimbledon title. The reason why I've got Kvitova below Swiatek is, who's more likely to lose in round one? Kvitova.
Yeah,
because you know what her record is at Wimbledon. She's only made the fourth round once since she last won it in 2014.
Did you have Kvitova in the power rankings though? She wasn't there, right?
No, she's fourth.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry, I thought she wasn't on there. That's why I mentioned it. Yeah, sorry, fourth. I totally missed it. I thought she was just not on your power rankings at all. Sorry, Nick. In that case, yeah, absolutely fine. Fourth is, of course, that's fine. I thought she wasn't even making the top 10, which I was.
No.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not going to sleep on Kvitova.
Yeah, good. Okay, sorry. In that case, yeah, that's absolutely fine. Number 4, absolutely fine. 5 as well. Ostapenko, I'd put Mukova there. I'd put Mukova over Ostapenko.
I think Ostapenko is looking actually pretty all right on grass. She won Birmingham. She only really pulled out of Eastbourne because she couldn't be bothered to go 3 sets in a quarterfinal. I think it's interesting, again, in her press conference after she won in Birmingham, she said that actually she's been working on not going for every single shot.
I was literally just about to say that. It's like somehow she realised on a fast court, or maybe I don't actually have to like smack every ball for, like my life depends on it. It's like,
honestly,
Jesus.
That's the best I've ever seen her play in Birmingham. And I think she's been becoming more consistent this year. She's won 2 out of the big 3 British grass court titles. Birmingham, Eastbourne, Wimbledon might come.
Yeah.
I could see it happening. I don't know if it'd be this year, but I would not be surprised. I could see it happening.
The problem with like being more consistent is it doesn't just affect your ground strokes. There's an amount of consistency to your serve as well. You need to set up a decent +1 and stuff. And her serve has never been the greatest. It's always been a bit more of a ropey shot. Like the other 2 shots are just flat as anything basically. So she is going for broke essentially. She's not hitting massive spin or anything like that. And of course it works sometimes and it doesn't work other times. But if you're going to start hitting with more spin or your ground strokes, your serve needs to follow suit as well. So I actually think it's a pretty big transformation, and I agree. She's not ready for it yet. I don't think she'll do 7 matches like that in a row, even if she does play a bit more consistent. I think it'll take her a while to work it out, essentially.
But maybe she'll surprise. Maybe she could win. I think she could get another major one day, and I think if it's going to be anywhere, it's going to be Wimbledon. But I agree with you that her serve has been better recently. But she's on a journey. I'm interested to see where she ends up with. But again, she's in that really stacked bottom half of the draw with Rybakina and Sabalenka, Krejcikova, Mukova, Jabeur, Kvitova. Like, if you
I was going to say she's got Maria early as well, who, Tatiana and Maria knocked her out of the tournament last year.
She did, which I would say is more down to Ostapenko imploding because she was frustrated that Maria was getting everything back.
Isn't every match that Ostapenko loses down to her imploding? I mean, I feel like she either wins or loses every match.
Unless she plays Elena Rybakina.
Yeah, that's about the only person who can knock the racket out. Or even Sabalenka, those 2. But yeah, pretty much anybody else. It's down to Ostapenko at the end of the day.
So. Kvitova, if she's on as well.
Yeah, and Kvitova would be a 4th round for her. I mean, that's a really interesting part of the draw. Even Haddad Maia in the 3rd round, I've just caught wind of that, actually. Haddad Maia's, she can be hard in grass. It depends how she plays. She went on a tear last year, obviously. And it's a lot down to that lefty serve. It's such an effective weapon on the grass, more so than any other surface. So you've got to think about Haddad Maia, Kvitova with that weapon. Those 2 players in particular will be able to pull that off over and over again.
Yeah. I think so. So it's a really tough section. And obviously, the bottom half of the draw is where a lot of the action's at. That's going to get underway on Tuesday. Monday's the top half of the draw.
The top half is... Sorry, go on, Nick.
What were you going to say about the top half?
I was going to say the top half is just super open in a lot of ways, particularly the bottom half of the top half, right? So the part that's the second quarter.
The Pegula quarter.
Yeah, the Pegula quarter. So Pegula and Garcia are the guys that, top and bottom of that quarter. And in between, you've got, I want to back Samsonova. I so want to back Samsonova. And she's been a little bit
off recently, though. I was a little surprised she lost at Hamburg. I mean, Siniakova was playing really well. But yeah, something's been off about Samsonova recently because I'm the same as you. I wanted to back her.
Yeah, but I've not felt good about her in a long time. The forehand really is ropey now. It's no longer a proper weapon. It's just a little bit too unreliable for me to back her. But on paper,
first round as well in Anna Bogdan, who's been getting some good grass court wins under her belt recently.
Yeah. I can see it opening up if she starts to get a bit of momentum. Even Qinwen Zheng is not a totally surefire bet on grass just because there were 2 ground strokes in the nature of them. And her serve's just a little bit too up and down. So I could see her in the 4th if the stars align a little bit. And then from there with a bit of momentum, maybe. But it's a pretty big maybe. Because Vekic, I'm still pretty big on Vekic.
Yeah. Here's my concern about Vekic. traditionally, if you look at sort of history, which is where I tend to get all my predictions from, past patterns, the runner-up in like the 500 2 weeks before Wimbledon, when that was Birmingham or Berlin, tends to run out of steam during Wimbledon. And maybe Vekic, I could see a scenario where the same thing happens to Vekic. And here's the thing, there's that fourth round with Caroline Garcia, if that happens. If Garcia is on, which I think she might be, that's an interesting match. That could go either way if that happens.
I just don't think Garcia gets to the fourth round for certain. In fact, I've not done my tennis live bracket yet, but I will do it in a bit. Yeah. I think I will pick, because I was just talking about lefty sliders, I think I would pick Fernandez to beat Garcia.
Shouldn't Fernandez get overpowered? I mean, I'm speaking as a Leylah Fernandez fan. That's a match I would expect to get overpowered in.
Could do. But I think actually Fernandez has the angles and sliding serve to win on a good day. And Garcia's having so many ropey days so often. I know you said she got to the quarters of the last couple of tournaments, but I think she's losing in the quarters as well. I just she's quite up and down. And Fernandez, at least, she could pull off the upset. It's probably about 50-50, to be honest, Nick.
Garcia retired after losing the first set in Eastbourne.
Right.
I think she lost to Sakkari in Berlin.
That's fine, obviously, yeah.
But yeah, again, I was a little surprised about that. If on paper, I would expect Garcia to win that one, maybe. Possibly against Sakkari. No, it wasn't. Sorry, it wasn't Sakkari. It was Kvitova. So yeah, Kvitova wins that match. Kvitova wins that match easily. If Kvitova was on that week, so yeah, I am willing. Because it's interesting. Yeah, I think Garcia is going to be in good form. I think Vekic will run out of steam if they play in the fourth round. And here's my controversial choice. If that's how the draw plays out, I think Garcia gets the final.
Okay.
There you go. That's controversial choice number one. There's another one coming.
Okay, I mean, on your head, be it now. That's a big pick, but well, we'll see.
I'm going for a Garcia Rybakina final.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm still convinced that Rybakina's one of those players who's going to have a special relationship with Wimbledon. Mm-hmm. Like the way she came back in that final last year was pretty good. She didn't have a great grass court warm-up last year. That loss to Vekic was not a bad loss. If she was still ill and she won that first set on the tiebreak the way she did, and then only got broken twice in the next two sets on Vekic having a good day, I regard that as a good loss for Rybakina in retrospect, given how well Vekic did afterwards. So I think if Rybakina is recovering and loves Wimbledon, I fully think that she is going to win the title. Sabalenka semi-final, I was kind of hoping, and I know this sounds counterintuitive for an Iga Swiatek fan, that Rybakina would be in Iga's half, because I wanted a Rybakina Sabalenka final possible, because I thought that was the best possible one. But I'll take it. But I think if they play, given how close their two matches have been this year, that's going to be fun. And I think Rybakina has the edge at Wimbledon.
We'll see. Yeah. I'm confident in Sabalenka. I really am. I'm very confident in her on this surface. But we'll see.
I'm confident in both of them on this surface. So I think if we get that semi-final, it's going to be a cracker. I mean, look, let's face it. A Sabalenka against Rybakina, Kvitova, or even Ostapenko in that semi-final would be a great semi-final.
Yeah.
Probably would end up in the tournament.
Is there anyone in your power rankings we've missed out? I think maybe we didn't touch on Jabeur too much. I'm just trying to find them.
Jabeur was there out of hope more than expectation.
Right, okay. Because I'm not massive on Jabeur at the moment. I think she could get beat by Kvitova for sure.
I think Jabeur loses to anyone in the five above her.
Yeah, definitely. Almost definitely. And then I think the only other couple, I mean, I'll just pick out a few names that I think could be dangerous. Alexandrova.
Yes.
Absolutely. You know, she can smack the ball to pieces on this surface. Like, she has got a good chance with that serve as well.
As she showed in Rosmalen and Berlin champion in Rosmalen, semi-finalist in Berlin, losing to Kvitova. And do you know what? I'm going to say there was an oversight in my power rankings video because I listed about 10 or 11 honorable mentions. Forgot to mention her.
Yes. Okay.
And I was like, I remember I was just going back and look at a YouTube comment, and it was like, you forgot. I'm surprised you didn't mention Alexandrova. And I was like, she was on my list. I forgot to mention her. Literally forgot. So can't go back and re-record it. But I completely agree. Alexandrova might finally get to the fourth round of a major because she's yet to do that.
Oh my God, really? Okay.
Never made it past round 3.
Well, now I want to take it back because I did not know that's that. That's insane. There's obviously something going on there. So I'm not sure I'm as confident on her now. And also Mukova is in the third round. I'm just saying,
Yeah. I think third round Mukova probably wins that. I think Mukova I back on a good day to beat pretty much anyone, especially if she's peaking right now.
I mean, her grass court game should be insanely good. It should be insanely good. So we'll see. And a few other names. Keys, obviously, we just mentioned Keys. She is a pretty obvious one for us to pick. She's
hard to bank on, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, she's just
a bit like Garcia.
Too up and down, exactly. And then do we just totally disregard Pliskova and say because of her form, it's not happening?
Yeah, I mean, she was in my power ranking before the latest one.
Okay,
right. Because of her grass record, double Eastbourne champion.
Yeah, and I mean,
she got finalist. She's got history, but again, her form's not been great, and she was a little disappointed in Eastbourne, actually.
Did she not just get kind of demolished by Kvitova, though?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not a bad loss, really. I know it was like 3-2 maybe, but it's at the end of the day, it's Kvitova. So if you're having a bad day, that's just going to go flying by you in the blink of an eye. Pliskova could still maybe do something. The fact she even got to the final 2 years ago took everybody by surprise because she hadn't made it past the second round of Wimbledon before then. I mean, she could do something. I'm not totally writing her off because if she did light up and serve really big, I think everybody would be like, oh, well, it's not surprising she's in the quarters because it's Pliskova and her game's amazing for grass. Let's just wait and see, just in case.
Yeah.
And then maybe one other name, if I can. Vondrousova, I want to throw her in there just because it's Vondrousova. Her game shouldn't be amazing for grass, but she makes it work just because she's a pain in the ass to play.
I think she's got a tricky draw. Because I did think about her. She's had a couple. She did well in Birmingham, but she's got Peyton Stearns in round 1, and then either Kudermetova or Kanepi in round 2.
Yes, even Stearns isn't a guarantee. Actually, Stearns has already shown she's got plenty of power, so she could overpower Vondrousova. She's not my last pick. I think if I had to pick out one name, it's not going to be her. I'm just having a little scan. I mean, maybe No, not saying Krejcikova. Not saying Krejcikova.
Krejcikova is a quarterfinalist at Wimbledon from past, but I don't see her winning it. I think she'd be another kind of slice and dicer who does pretty well, goes pretty deep. But I mean, kind of like a Radwanska, maybe. But was.
I mean, honestly, definitely. Siniakova.
Yes, Siniakova. I'm like, she is actually, she's in the Bad Homburg final. She played really well.
Yeah, and she's in a decent part of the draw. So Zheng is beatable in grass. I'm sorry, I love Zheng, but there's a very good chance Siniakova wins that match. Easy second round against Liu and Surenko, no disrespect to them. And Alicia Parks or Samsonova, I'm sorry, but she's the favourite for that match as well. Like, Alicia Parks obviously has a great serve, but it, again, like Zheng's, you look at the first serve percentage of these two players, it is by far the lowest in the WTA Tour. So you're talking about 50%. Like, these girls are amazing serves, but they're just not putting it in the court enough. Like, and you're going to get attacked until they can really polish the consistency of it. There's no way they win There's no way they win 7 matches in a row, for sure.
For sure. I'm going to say on Siniakova, she's currently playing the Bad Homburg final. She's a set up on Bronzetti already. Set and 2-1 with serve. 6-2 was the first set. And I'm going to say this now. Here's probably one of the less controversial things I've got to say. I haven't filled in the TNS draw bracket yet. But I've done a spreadsheet already with what I'm going to pick, because that's how I function better when I'm doing slams, because otherwise it's just too much info and I forget what I've done and why I've done it. I've got Swiatek in the quarters.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I just explained why she'd get to the fourth, so she would have to beat Pegula. All right.
Pegula, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Pegula. But yeah, Swiatek could win that. Definitely.
And Bad Homburg winners generally do. Like, look at Kerber a couple of years ago. I think Swiatek makes the quarters and then loses to either Vekic or Garcia.
Yeah, that would be a great run for Swiatek. And deserved, because Swiatekova's got a lovely game. She's a bit funny on the forehand sometimes, and yeah, but if she does put it together, people are always like stunned at how high a level she can play. So yeah, there's a chance.
Look, she's the best doubles player in the world. That does translate to singles.
yeah, exactly. Fair. Good point.
Like, I think most top doubles players have been top 15 singles at some point.
Yes, pretty much. Well, sort of, but yeah.
Most, not all.
Yeah, not all, but quite a lot of them. You're right.
Yeah. What I want to do is, obviously we've been looking at names like who could win it, who we think, has got great draws. I think we can safely say Iga's got a fairly kind draw until the semi-finals, and then she's probably going to be in trouble when she gets to the semi-finals against someone like a Vekic or a Garcia. I mean, okay, apart from the optimism about Caroline Garcia, which may be unwarranted, surely she has a game on grass that, if she is on fire, would work. So I would see her beating Iga on grass for sure if she's there and playing well. But same for Vekic. With the bottom half of the draw, it's going to be a real scrap to get through, and I think the eventual winner of Wimbledon is probably going to come from the bottom half of the draw. Probably fair?
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly how I feel. I've been saying how open the top half is, but honestly, it's only because of the power players that are in that bottom half, even including Keys and Ostapenko. But obviously Sabalenka and Rybakina is who I'm really talking about. And then Mukova as well. I mean, it's honestly, there's quite a lot of weight in that bottom half. So I'd agree. But Nick, win for Iga Swiatek at Wimbledon would be huge. So I'm not totally ruling it out. I would like to see Iga do well here.
I'm not ruling it out either. I just don't think it's her year yet. I think she might well win it one day, but it's gonna come over time. She's gonna have to. She's still got a little way to develop. But hey, she could surprise us all and go, nah, it's mine. That would be. I think that would probably confirm her as the top player on the WTA tour. Because she actually, if you look at the world number, because there is a world number one battle going into this tournament, Sabalenka has to get to the final to do it. She has to. She goes out before the final, she will not overtake Iga.
Wait, and is that how close it is?
Yeah.
So if Iga wins it,
if Iga gets the final, then she confirms herself as world number one.
Right. Okay. I see.
Sabalenka can't overtake unless she gets the final.
Right. Got you. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. I'd like to see Sabalenka get the world number one, because I think she deserves it.
So if Sabalenka wins Wimbledon and it's not Iga over the other side of the net in the final, she gets number one.
Right. Exciting. Very exciting.
Which, if it's your prediction works out, if it's Sabalenka beating Donna Vekic, would happen.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of big names there we've mentioned, Nick. It would be a shame if one of them that we haven't mentioned creeps through to the final, but I'm very excited.
Look, that's what happened at Roland Garros, right? Like, we all talked about Mukova being like a threat to Sakkari in round one.
I know, everybody picked Mukova.
Nobody talked about her winning it.
I know.
Nobody talked about her winning it. And then she was 2 games away from winning it, probably less.
Yeah. Exactly. Very good point. Exactly. We've got very recent history to draw on. In fact, a lot of the recent finals, right, pretty much all of them, have featured a finalist that is maybe a little surprising. Maybe Australia wasn't that surprising. Yeah, but generally, there's been somebody who's snuck through. So it's exciting. I love Wimbledon, Nick. It's a great time of year. I'm very excited to see how it plays out.
And I said in the power rankings video that had I done a power ranking last year, Rybakina wouldn't have been in it. Like, she wouldn't have been in the top 10. She probably would have been an honourable mention, but she wouldn't have been a top 10 if I used the same formula. Which tells you something, right? Rybakina surprised everyone by winning that title. We all thought that was Ons' to lose.
Well, yeah.
Well, by the time the tour actually played out,
yeah.
By the time it got to the final, it was there.
I'm still so high in the pound I put on her to win at the second. Like I can't stop bragging about that. I absolutely love it. It's the best bet ever.
How much do you make from that?
£150.
There you
150 to 1 for Rybakina to win Wimbledon. I mean, come on, easy money. Like absolutely ridiculous. Are we talking about Iga's draw, by the way?
Iga's draw.
Yeah, because I think we've not mentioned that. I've just seen that creeping up in the comments there.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it a little bit. I mean, we talked about Zhu being a tricky opener.
Yeah, we didn't really go past that, I suppose. Actually,
she'd have Trevor San or Sorribes Tormo, so Sorribes Tormo in round 2.
That could be awkward, but I think obviously she played Maria fairly comfortably. Sorribes Tormo's slice is really nice, and obviously she'll grind for her life, as she always does. She'll use the slice a lot. I just, against Swiatek, no way. That's the kind of player she beats in her sleep. I don't think I've ever seen Swiatek get beat by a pusher. And pushers, I don't use pusher negatively, by the way. It's just
I would agree. I think the matchup would favour Iga even on grass. And when I think of Sorribes Tormo at Wimbledon, I think of that grind fest she had with Kerber, but I think that only really happened because she gets into grind fest with people who do similar things, who just hit the ball back and are just walls. Kerber's that. Haddad Maia was that at Roland Garros.
Yeah.
That's Iga is not that.
No, exactly.
And we saw Rybakina did to her at the US Open 2 years ago as well.
Yeah, exactly. No way. No how Sorribes Tormo doesn't win that. Now does Trevisan. And the third round, Martic, I'm afraid she's a powerful player, but not as powerful as Swiatek. So you're just looking at a player who's just like a little worse at pretty much everything that Swiatek does. Yeah. And then if she gets that far. And then the fourth round, there's like nobody there I would pick for sure. Lynette's not a grass quarter. Neither are any of the unseeded players. Maybe Collins. But
Collins is the most dangerous option.
Probably, but she's just not been playing. She's been injured. Yeah, she's just been injured. And Bencic as well, exactly the same. So you've got a pretty easy fourth round relative to all the other players. So it's just like...
Do you want to hear my fourth round pick from these? Because
Katie Swan?
Yeah, I picked Katie Swan.
Yeah.
Have you gone for her as well?
I did the same thing on the radio, actually. Yeah. I just felt
I think Katie Swan is going to make fourth round.
Yeah. I mean, but Bencic obviously been injured for ages. Collins exactly the same, and then all of the other players there. I mean, Krejcikova obviously has been. She's 37 years old. She's just like there's no chance she gets through. Really, Teichmann, terrible form. Lynette's not a grass quarter. Zanevska's like 200 in the world. Like, there's no way. Like, it's a very, very open part of their draw.
I think Monday, so obviously Swan and Bencic are playing on third on court 2 on Monday. I think that's going to be a rocking match. The British crowd are going to get into it, and they're in for a treat. I think
the one thing I would say is, although Bencic has been injured, there's potential there. But actually, if she gets a bit of momentum and comes through Swan, I could see her getting to the fourth round. I just think the first round will be so precarious, and there's a lot of finding her feet that there's definitely a banana skin potential there.
Yeah, I would agree. Like if Bencic comes through a tough, maybe against the Swan and the crowd, then you're probably right. She'll have the momentum to get round 4, but don't see her beating Iga.
Yes, no doubt. Not a great matchup. Bencic at her very best. I was crazy about her the first few months of the year, and then she went off the grid with the injury. Yeah, I need to remember that because honestly, her game's actually great for grass. There's a good chance she does well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was thinking Bencic was going to be coming out, like going back in the top 10, and those 2 500 wins were good. The injuries really derailed her, which is a shame. I'm looking, and then I think we could probably safely. I'm looking at the draw. I talked about we talked about a potential Swiatek Gauff quarterfinal, which I think is the most likely outcome. Looking at Gauff's section, I think the only player who could probably potentially stop her would be Rybakina. But that's it. I think Gauff's probably coming through that one. Yeah,
I think so too.
So what I want to do we've talked about predicting stuff. If it happens, what if it happens? We've kind of put our cards on the table in terms of who we think is going to do well. at Wimbledon. You and I have come up with very different ways, although neither would be surprised if the other's prediction came true.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. Of course not.
No. I definitely like Sabalenka and Rybakina was that close, which one I went for. I would be very pleased for Sabalenka if she won it. But let's talk about the stuff that we do know about what's happening. The Bad Homburg finals now suspended for rain. Is the first round, and we know who's playing in the first round. This could probably be a long section, but I think there's obviously one match everyone's talking about in the first round. But what are the first round matches that you're looking forward to?
Good question. I'm just having a little scan. Honestly, Swiatek Gauff off the bat, that won't be mega easy. So there could actually be a little bit of to and froing there, even if Ika gets the win eventually. It could be a really interesting one. I'll definitely tune in for that. Got obviously Williams and Svitolina.
Yeah, that's the one everyone's talking about. That's going on Centre Court on Monday. That one's going to be interesting to see which way that one goes, because Venus has obviously got some confidence from how she did in Birmingham, beating Georgie. Was up on, tried to come back and could have come back against Ostapenko. I think she's going to be feeling good about herself. Having said that, Svitolina, former Wimbledon semi-finalist, has had a good run at Roland Garros. Okay, crashed out of Birmingham first round, but she said that was down to maybe a little bit of a tight turnaround from Roland Garros. Isn't going to try and overpower Venus, but is going to try and make her run. And make it physical.
She's good at that. She's very good at that. So I actually see the matchup being pretty tough for Williams.
I think it's going to go 3.
I was saying that before our match against Ostapenko. I was like, there is absolutely, a chance Venus Williams gets a set here. Against power players, she's like, she can match them toe for toe. Like, if she needs to rattle through service games, she'll do that all day. But against a Krejcikova, a Svitolina, these sort of players, this is tough at her age to keep moving about. So it's not a good matchup, unfortunately. So I don't see her getting through that.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one there.
Other matches, I'm not huge on Kenin Gauff, because I actually think Gauff might sort of swat away Kenin. However, there's obviously I'll keep an eye on the score, and if it gets juicy, then I'll tune in.
Kenin at Wimbledon, I don't remember having an amazing record, to be honest, in her career.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Okay. That makes sense, just given her game. It's not huge, but she definitely benefits from the serve slowing down a bit, huge returns when she has a little bit of time on them. I can't see, with the courts being a little quicker, I can't see her surviving Gauff, to be honest. I think it'll be a pretty uphill battle.
Yeah.
Other matches as well, I'll probably, again, I'll keep an eye on Zheng Siniakova to see if it gets juicy, and then tune in, because I think
Siniakova's probably coming through that one.
But
here's one I think could get juicy. Kudermetova Kanepi.
Yeah, I was just looking at that, just for the power playing. But I've watched Kanepi a few times, and I actually haven't that huge on watching her. She does tend to get a little lazy on return, because she's just got such a huge service game. Not lazy, but loose, I should say. She just doesn't make many returns a lot of the time. And the games can get a little bit serve, forehand, miss, or in, serve, forehand, miss, or in. So it's a little bit too 1-2 punch for me. However, it could get good. We'll see.
When we kind of scrolled past, I mentioned Bogdan Samsonova before as a potentially interesting one. Could be a bit of a battle. Mm-hmm. The kind of interesting next gen in me is kind of interested to see how Linda Fruhvirtova does against Petra Martic.
Yeah, I did think about that. Maybe Linda Fruhvirtova's game's good enough at the moment to trouble Martic. Absolutely. I think there's been a few question marks over the serve, which should stand her in less stead on grass, but I'm pretty sure she got a few wins over the grass season, did she not?
Linda, she got to the quarters in Birmingham and lost to Krejcikova.
Yeah,
which was a tough match.
Yeah, good. In that case, maybe I'll keep an eye on that again to see how it goes. But it's not top of my list. There's a chance.
No, it's not either. But it's there as an option, like looking at interesting ones.
Yeah, definitely. And I think out of the top half, they're probably my main picks, unless I'm missing anything.
So Venus and Svitolina, and then what was the other one?
And well, probably Kudermetova, Kanepi, or Zheng Siniakova.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll tune into Kontaveit, because that's probably going to be our last match.
Yeah, so that's on court 15. It's not before 5:30 UK time, so it's going to be nearer the end. So I'm tempted to. Well, obviously, I'm queuing on day one on Monday. I am going to be trying for court 1 tickets. We'll see how successful that goes. If not, grounds pass all the way. Still best ticket probably in British sport. I'll just wander around, and I'll probably keep an eye on the time and see if I can get to court 15 and watch that match, because it's probably not going to be a great one, but it might be.
Yeah, exactly. It's just to see her, kind of sign off. I'll see you there, Nick. I'll probably go to court 15 on Monday.
I mean, we're writing Kontaveit off a little bit. Do we not think she might have a little bit of a "it's my last tournament" bounce?
It's been a properly bad injury by the sounds of it. So I do think she'll be a bit slow. So I do think most players would beat her. I think it could end up being a bit of a deflated match maybe. But I would just like to see it if it is our last match. It's quite a big deal for the former world number 2. So I am tempted to head down there and check it out. If you moving on to the other half,
Jabeur Freck early on.
Yeah, was it Frech that knocked her out of the French Open?
No, was it? I think it might have been Lynette.
I always get the two polls mixed up.
Yeah, Lynette had just gone. I think Freck had gone that massive.
Kerber. Yes, yeah. I remember now. No, it was at the French, was it not? Or have I got
I thought it was a clay court final of the 250 the day before the French started.
I think it was just the French Open first round. I'm pretty sure.
You're right. Yeah, it was the French Open first round, because that was Kai Yuvan who had that epic with Kerber. You're right.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, there's a good opportunity for that to be a pretty scrappy match. Frech is actually pretty good on grass. It's not the serve, but again, if she's matching Jabeur for slices and sort of funky shots, she could probably do quite well there, and it would be quite interesting for the tennis purist or the tennis coach in me, to be honest, because you just get to see a lot of variety and cool stuff. So yeah, I'd quite like to see that one. And then what else we got? Just scanning down the list.
If you're a aggro fan, Haddad Shmaev versus
I get you keep doing it at the same time as me. Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah, it could get a bit heated, but honestly, it's all put in favour. I rate Haddad Maya's on-court personality. I think she's a good fighter. Putting Seva is just a little bit too inflammatory.
Here's one for the grass court fans. Castella Maria.
Castella Maria, I can't see that. Oh yeah, I can see it. Yeah, got you. Yeah. Castella. I actually don't rate her too much because of her serve on grass. I do think it's a little bit of a weakness, even after the improvements she made. Maria's great to watch, actually. Yeah, if that's about Maria's performance, then yeah, I would quite like to see it. I love watching a good slice. It's just a beautiful thing to watch. So yeah, possibly. The jury's out on that one. If there's something a bit more interesting, then maybe I'd go there. Nick, just keeping going down the list as well. Probably Rybakina Rogers, just to see what happens there.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun power match. It just depends on how much control Rogers has on her game, because that's her big weakness. Is she's either really on, which doesn't happen that often, or she's spraying. So I think it's going to depend on how much she wants to bring it to Rybakina. I think if Rybakina's even vaguely all right, she'll probably win it. Yeah.
And one for the Brits as well. Kartal versus Madison Keys.
Kartal, who pushed Andreescu in Bad Homburg, took it to a very tight third set. And I don't think Andreescu was playing that well, but I was surprised just how good a job Kartal did, because I wasn't sure where to rate her, but she's had a semi-final run in Ilkley, I think. And yeah, that was a good result for her. So, but again, I could see her getting overpowered by Keys.
Yeah, possibly. And then a little lower down the list for Brits, I was going to say Watson and Krejcikova.
Same. That's one I think worth tuning into, I think, because Watson at Wimbledon can produce some sort of her usual sort of scrappy fighting tennis. Will it be enough to stop Krejcikova? No. Will it be enough to frustrate Krejcikova and make it 2 tight sets? Depends on how well Watson plays, really. But when Watson's playing well, we know she can push top players.
Yeah. The other one as well, it probably will go under the radar, but I think I'm going to check it out because I want to see Andreeva early. I want to see Andreeva before she's like top of everybody's list to see. I think her against Wong, basically, that could be a good match, actually. Ziyu Wong's pretty underrated.
I was going to say which Wong, because you have to click on the name to double check.
So Ziyu Wong, I believe, is the lefty. I think Jin Yu is the taller of the Chinese players with a big serve. Might have got that the wrong way around. But I'm pretty sure Ziyu Wong is the lefty player who is a fantastic sort of big hitter of the ball. Doesn't have a massive serve, but will make players play special shots to beat her. So I'm actually expecting a pretty decent face-off there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's going to be a really, interesting battle between those two. And obviously, a lot of people are very excited about Andreeva. So I might join you in that. It depends on when that all gets scheduled.
Yeah.
I've just seen one below Watson Krejcikova, though I think might be a match that that has to be watched.
Yeah. Quarterfinalist, of course. Quarterfinalist from last year. Naimara, though, has been a little bit off the boil. I think there's an element of trying to just kind of harness all that power she's got. She's obviously one of the biggest hitters of the ball in the tour. She just tends to be a little bit up and down, and certainly her serve is a lot weaker than a lot of these power players on the tour. So it's tough to say for sure Naimara lives up to the billing there. But Mukova, obviously, as the first round, she'll definitely deliver. So I'm expecting something pretty good from at least one of the players in that match.
Yeah, I just out of hope that I always look at like best case scenario of if they're fully fit, it's going to be great. And I know Nimai is probably dealing with an injury problem, but you never know. You never know. She might come out swinging. I do agree with you. She just could struggle to control her power. I am not entirely sure how she got to the quarterfinals, to be honest, last year. I was a little. I think she overpowered Watson, didn't she? But I was kind of going, Watson should have won that in some ways, and she beat Niemeyer in Nottingham actually, and Maria. Heather Watson did. So that goes to show how close Heather Watson was to a Wimbledon semi-final last year.
Yeah, wow, Jesus. Good point.
Although not slower, I think.
Yeah, it'll be slightly slower, but I mean, by the time the tournament gets to the quarterfinals, it has slowed down quite significantly, which is probably why Maria was able to beat Ostapenko and Neymar back to back in a way. But anyway, one other match as well I've spotted, probably Alexandrova and Navarro. Could be an interesting one.
Same spot, because Navarro, Ilkley finalist, Bad Homburg semi-finalist, seems to like the grass, and then Alexandrova, we talked about how well she's been doing this year and how well she should work. So that one, I think, could be a real fight. That's going to go on an outside court. I would recommend that if you're a real tennis fan, get down to that one, because you probably have front row seats for a very, very good match.
I mean, this is the thing. Like, everybody flocks to all the different court tickets. Like, Nick, we'll get front row seats to the best show in town, basically. Probably Navarro. Alexandrova is going to be free. We should get a little bit of the one we were talking about earlier. I've lost it now. Had that Maya Putin-Savas in front of me. Let's watch the Maya.
I would. Yeah. I mean, that's if all else fails. So I remember the first time I ever went to Wimbledon. It was 2015, and I would say my knowledge of tennis wasn't as good as it is now, but I knew enough. And basically, I was doing some work in London, and I finished work early at like 3-4 o'clock because they said, you don't have anything else to do, go home. So I went, okay, I'll hop on the tube and I'll go to Wimbledon. Joined the queue, got in really quick, and then went, right, what's on? What's happening? I got a grounds pass. Ended up on court, heading to court 18 because no one else seemed to be going there. I thought, that looks like a good match. Ended up watching a 5-setter between Ivo Karlovic and Alexander Dolgopolov.
Yeah, I mean, some of us like watching Dr. Evil on grass. Yeah, why not? I mean, that would have been stunning up close, surely.
Oh yeah, we got to see Karlovic's serve up close and Dolgopolov's temper up close.
I like Dolgopolov. That must have been a good match, definitely.
It was good fun. Yeah. But yeah, so that's our first round picks for like what's going to be exciting, I think, and we can get super bogged down in like predicting who's going to win. But in terms of enjoying the tennis in front of us, we've definitely got some very good options. I'm going to be scouring the order of play to like schedule my trips around Wimbledon, depending on what I can get away with in terms of tickets. Yeah, I mean, so Jack, you're going on Monday, right? As well, Monday.
Yeah, I'll be there on Monday till Friday. So give us a bell, and anybody else that's listening as well. You know, I'm keen to see as many people as I can. So
yeah, same likewise. I'm only there Monday, Tuesday. I just because, but I definitely looking forward to it. I've never done the opening days of Wimbledon before. I'm gathering it's going to be super busy, but it's going to be worth a crack at it. And yeah, I think it's going to be fun. So I'll hopefully catch you while you're there, Jack. It sounds like we'll be going to the same matches. Have you had a look at the order of play for day one yet?
Not yet. No, I'll sink my teeth into it after I finish my work today, I think.
Yeah. And then obviously James is going on Friday. Jamie is going on Monday. And then there's a group from Popcorn going on the Monday and the Tuesday as well, which is going to be, it's got a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's been the first time I've been to Wimbledon since 2019. So I'm looking forward to being back. I'm looking forward to there being some amazing tennis. Jack, any final thoughts on the draw that you want to get out there?
No, I think we've pulled it apart, Nick. I'm happy with what we've said so far. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you in a couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. So follow Jack on the line. What are your plans for podcasts? Are you going to be breaking down just the finals or looking for any other big matches, men's or women's?
I mean, I'll be there for the first 4 days, but most likely it's going to be like, this will be my only holiday of the year, Nick. Part of the one I had at the start of the year, to be fair. This will be my only proper holiday. So I'll be doing a bit of work, but a lot of it will be quite leisurely. So I'll do stuff at the end of the tournament, probably. I am tuning in for that. I mean, I'll work as much as I can at the end, but the first week is pretty chill. Yeah.
Jack tends to do like detailed match breakdown. He'll get someone on, they'll do a detailed match breakdown of what's happening. Yeah, keep an eye on Talking Tennis. So obviously, yeah, John is going to be outside Wimbledon live with a microphone on Monday and Tuesday. There will be live watch-alongs. So I don't know when I'll be back on the channel, but I suspect I'll be doing one. I actually have 2 weeks off work to just binge watch Wimbledon. So I think I can't think of a better way of spending 2 weeks, to be honest. Yeah, keep an eye on it. So, and then after the tournament's done, we'll probably do some watch-alongs for the finals. And then Monday we will see some episodes of ATP Weekly and WTA Weekly. Will wrap up all the women's action on the Monday after Wimbledon finishes. But let's not look too far ahead. Let's enjoy the moment. Jack, thanks for coming on.
No worries, Nick. Pleasure. See you soon.
See you, Nick. Take care. Thanks, everyone. Keep talking tennis.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.